Hi, am I on mute? Wait, okay. Can you hear me now? Okay, it's a little bit of a lag here. So I'm Randy, and I'm an alcoholic, and I'm extremely grateful to be here today and to have an opportunity to share with you. Your video is freezing on and off. Can you hear me okay? Is the voice okay? Good, okay. So I'm an alcoholic, and I have alcoholism, and I came to Alcoholics Anonymous to treat my alcohol because I had a drinking problem when I got here. And I heard somebody share in a meeting the other day, when they came to AA, they had a drinking problem. And when they stopped drinking, they realized that they had alcoholism. Because the disease of alcoholism, for me in my life, the disease is treated by alcohol. So long as alcohol is working for me, I'm going to use it, and I'm going to use it to treat the disease, even though I have no idea what I'm doing. I think I'm drinking because I like drinking. I think I'm drinking because it's fun, and because it makes me more outgoing and more easygoing and more handsome and more smart and more funny and but what I don't really know what's wrong with me. And as an alcoholic with alcoholism, at a certain point, I drink because I have to drink, not because I want to. And there's two reasons for that. One is I have a mental obsession, and the other side of that is the body is I have a physical craving, and so once I start drinking, the physical craving starts, and then I can't stop, and I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't know where I'm going to wind up, and so that's like the technical medical part of alcoholism. Um, I came in here, and for a long time I treated my disease. I thought I was treating the disease because I thought the disease was alcohol, and I thought not drinking was the name of the game, and that's what they told me in meetings: just don't drink, and you're a winner. And I did that. I did that for a while. And when I first came in, my life actually did get a lot better when I stopped drinking. I had more money. My friends were nice to me again. I was able to keep a job, and everything seemed new and wonderful for a while. And that was very exciting. And I thought, wow, when I get some time, things are going to be really good. And then I got some time, and things weren't really good. Because at a certain point, the excitement of being sober wore off, and the reality of living life with alcoholism started wearing in. And I started really finding fault everywhere in my life with everybody and everything. And I didn't know what was wrong with me. And I thought, I just thought not drinking and more time, that will heal whatever's wrong with me. And maybe I just got unlucky, and they told me I had a bad picker, and I had to get a new picker because I always picked the worst jobs with the worst bosses and the worst women to live with and the worst places to live. So I thought maybe with some time away from alcohol that my picker was going to get better, and I was going to be able to pick better jobs and better houses and better things. But it didn't seem to be happening. And I was going crazy in Alcoholics Anonymous sober. And after, with some time, with 2.5 years of sobriety, I started wanting to kill myself. I knew I couldn't drink again. I can never, ever drink alcohol successfully again. I know that. I've tried. I've had my relapses. There are no more good times left for me drinking. But that doesn't mean that my mind doesn't tell me drinking is better than what I have right now from time to time. And so I met a man with about 2.5 years of sobriety, and he talked about alcoholism, a disease that centered in my mind. And he talked about it in a way, he said it has nothing to do with alcohol. And that alcohol was actually the solution. And that's kind of what I talk about, is alcohol was the thing that was treating me. It was the thing that was making me okay. And he talked out of the books. He always read from the books and talked from the books. And he made me read the book in the I, so that it was a book for me, because I'd read the books and I'd done the steps. And so at the bottom of step one, it says, we know little good can come to any alcoholic who joins AA unless he first accepts his devastating weakness and all of its consequences. So he took me back into the book and he said, we're going to read it a little different today. He says, do you know that little good can come to any alcoholic, including yourself, who joins AA, unless you, or he was talking about me, so when I read it, it's unless I first accept my devastating weakness and all of its consequences. And then he talked about that, my devastating weakness and all of its consequences. And what he said to me is that my devastating weakness is that I have a unsatisfiable mind, an unsatisfiable, fault-finding, opinionated mind. And all of that's coupled with an infantile ego. I have a little ego of a 3-year-old baby. That's the way I act in the world. I think everything revolves around me, and I'm always in a hurry, and I'm easily frustrated, and I have big plans, and I'm a fast talker and a fast thinker, and I want fast money deals, and I want fast relationships, and I always want everything right now. So I have this unsatisfiable mind that's fault-finding and opinionated. And the thing about being opinionated isn't that I'm opinionated. It's that whatever I tell myself, whatever my opinion is, I am right and you are wrong. And it tells me in the book that I also have a warped mind. So I'm using my warped mind to form opinions, and then these opinions I'm using to make everybody else and everything else wrong. So there's something really wrong with me, and it's not alcohol. And what it says I'm going to have to do is that I'm going to have to admit complete defeat. And that's challenging for me as an alcoholic, because I don't think I'm a complete defeat. I can tie my shoes. I can drive my car. I can keep a job sober. I'm not a complete defeat at doing the outside things. What I've found for my life today is that I'm a complete defeat on the inside. I'm a complete defeat at doing any of those things and being at peace. Because while I'm tying my shoes, I'm finding fault with my shoes. And I'm talking to myself about shoes. And I'm thinking, man, I need some new shoes. I got old shoes. And then I'm thinking, well, the reason I have old shoes is because I have a terrible job. And if I had a better job and I had a better boss, I'd have better shoes. And the reason I don't have shoes is because I have a wife and she's a nag. So what I need to do is get rid of my job and my wife, and then I'll have better shoes. And then if I take it a little bit further, it's a big job getting rid of a wife and quitting your job and finding a new job. And all of it is just a little too much for me. And then my mind tells me it doesn't matter, because you're going to find another wife and another job that you're not going to like. So what's the use? You might as well just kill yourself. And all that happened in about 10 seconds while I was tying my shoes. I still have another 23 hours and 50 seconds to go. I'm already close to being dead. And that's alcoholism in my life today. Now, look, if you're new and you're still craving alcohol, I understand that. I had that for a long time. I craved alcohol. And I thought that a drink would work somehow. I need a drink. I need something. But really what I need is something to kill the pain in my mind. That's what I need. And the thing that I don't want to do is the 12 steps. It says in AA's pioneering times, none but the most desperate cases could swallow and digest this unpalatable truth, that I'm an alcoholic, that I'm bodily and mentally different from my fellow man, and that I have an unsatisfiable, fault-finding, opinionated mind. Even these last gaspers often had difficulty in realizing how hopeless they actually were. Even the last gaspers, I didn't think I was the last gasper. I didn't come in out of the gutter in a trench coat covered in puke. That wasn't my story. I've heard those stories. That wasn't my story. I I didn't consider myself a last gasper. But it says, but a few did. A few of these last gaspers realized how hopeless they actually were against this disease. And when they laid hold of AA's principles with all the fervor with which the drowning sees life preservers, they almost invariably got well. And so what's needed from me for this program is to go for this thing like a drowning man sees as a life preserver. But I don't see myself as a last gasper, so I go for it a little bit like a grown-up in a kiddie pool that comes up to my knees, and once in a while I'll put a little effort in to get to the side, and that doesn't work in AA because this program asks me to go against all of my natural instincts. Did I lose you? Am I back? Am I back? Hello? Damn. I was in the kiddie pool. Going for it when I feel like it, when it's convenient. So what I had to find for myself was that my last gasperness, and I found that I found it when I looked at my life, and I found that with 2.5 years of sobriety, I still had suicidal thoughts. I still thought suicide was an answer, and I still hated my life sober. I was the same man sober that I was drunk. I was the same man inside, in my head. I had the same thoughts. I had the same anger. I had the same fault-finding mind. I have the same unsatisfiable mind. That unsatisfiable mind, it sounds like a nice thing to say, but it is the root of all of my troubles because I'm selfish and self-centered in the extreme, like we read in the beginning. And all of my troubles are of my own making. And they all come out of this unsatisfiable mind because even when I get exactly what I want, I get the job that I want it so bad, and I get that job, and I have that job, and by the time they pay me my first paycheck, I don't want that job anymore. It doesn't pay me enough. They don't appreciate me enough. They're asking me to do too much. And so even when I get exactly what I asked for, I'm not happy. I need something else. And I could see that everywhere in my life, everywhere. And that's the alcoholism that's killing me today. I'm not mercilessly obsessed to drink alcohol today. I have been in the past. And the only thing that helped me with that was asking a higher power to remove my obsession. And then one day, I can't explain it, but one day it went away. But the unsatisfiable mind doesn't go away. It's there. It's built. It's the character that I built coming in here. And the 12 steps is a way of life where I can have a spiritual awakening. The spirit in me can become awakened, and I can have a new mind, a mind from a higher power that guides me and directs me, where I intuitively know how to handle situations that used to baffle me, and where I can see that something is doing for me what I can't do for myself, and that something is inside of me. There's no my own conception of God has nothing to do with an old man sitting in a chair that's looking to see if I'm doing good or not and giving me gifts based on my goodness. I went to a thing last night, and the man talked about God as your father, but not your father. Because I hated my father for a lot of my life. I hated my father. But as the most kind and loving father that wants everything good for me right now. And so when I get to the end of the first step, and I can see my merciless obsessions today, that's to have enough money in the bank, to have my wife and my child act right, to have the right house in the right neighborhood, to have the right haircut, to weigh the right weight, to have the right friends. These are the things that mercilessly obsess me. Not all at the same time, one at a time usually, but one of them is driving me crazy at all times if I ask myself how I'm doing. And when I stand ready to do anything which will lift my merciless obsessions, I get to start to come to believe. Right now, in this moment, I get to start to come to believe that there's a power, and that power is greater than me. And that power is the power that's going to restore me to sanity. That's the long form of the second step. It says it much more concise, right? Came to believe that a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity. But those are just words. And it sounds great, and I understand every one of those words, and I think I know what that means. But what it means is that I'm going to have to do something right now, in this moment, right now. So that right now, in this moment, I am doing something to come to believe. I'm not just going to believe because I say I believe, because that's a wishy-washy belief. That can change with a whim. Things go my way, I believe. They don't go my way, I don't believe. I get the job, I believe. I lose the job, I don't believe. And so my belief is constantly dependent on what's happening on the outside. But in the second step, I start practicing the presence of this higher power right now in this moment. And I start to do something where I have an experience of either being restored to sanity when I do that, or not being restored to sanity when I do that. My experience is that when I rightly relate myself to God, which to me means talking to God, God, I'm sitting in a chair, I'm in my house, I'm feeling, I feel like I need to read some more AA material. I need to brush up a little on my program. I'm so grateful that I get this opportunity, God, to be here with these people. Could you help me? Could you put the words in my mouth that you want me to say? Could you help me to not be self-conscious and nervous and worried about what people think about me? Could you help me be the man that you want me to be right now? And when I rightly relate myself to God in that way, or to a higher power in that way, something happens and my mind calms down. And I get restored to sanity, which to me is a quiet mind, a peaceful, quiet mind, so that I can enjoy this moment, so that I can really be here with you. And something new is happening, and I'm coming to believe I'm having an experience. And the more of those experiences I have, the more I'm restored to sanity by doing the thing that I do to get restored to sanity. The more that I find that the higher power does restore me to sanity, then I have my experience. And I can walk into step 3 and I can make a decision. And so step 1 is admitting complete defeat. I have to admit that I'm the wrong power for my life and I can't restore me to sanity. Even when I get exactly what I asked for, it doesn't make me sane. I'm still crazy. I still need something else to make me satisfied, and I never get there. I'm unsatisfiable. When I can admit that, then I can walk into step 2 with the spirit of complete defeat and ask this power and share my life with the power. And when I do that, I get restored to sanity. And every time I do that, I have another moment of sanity that's mine. That's mine. It's my experience. And then I can walk into step 3, because step 3 needs step 1 and step 2, because it's telling me in step 3, I'm going to make a decision right now. No matter how many times I've made the decision before, right now I'm going to make a decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God as I understood him. As I understood him. As I understood him from what I did in step 2. I did something, and now I have my own understanding. It's mine. Nobody can take it from me. Nobody can explain it to me, and nobody can give it to me. I have to do the work in step 2 to have a little bit of sanity so that when I get to step 3, I know the difference. The difference is I can have my will, where I'm constantly unsatisfiable, constantly finding fault with everything and everyone in my life, constantly having opinions about how things should be, and they're not the way that I think they should be. Always restless, irritable, and discontent. Or I can turn my will and my life over to the care of this power that I've been having some small experiences with and being restored to sanity. And, if that was all there was to it, step 3, by the time I get to step 3, I'm done. I'm in the presence of God. I've turned my will and my life over to the care of God, and I'm great, and everything's great. But the problem is that I have resentments, and I have a lot of people that I've harmed in my life that I'm going to come across, and I've got to do something about those as well so that I can stay in step 3. And step 3 is repeated, and step 6 is really step 3. Once I know what's wrong with me, because I did 4 and 5. And step 11 is really step 3, once I've cleaned up all the wreckage of my past. And so we're constantly going deeper into this decision, or I am constantly going in deeper into this decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God as I understood him. And I'm getting a deeper and deeper understanding of what God could do in my life as I go through the steps. And that's what's going on in Alcoholics Anonymous. This is not a place to stop drinking. If you don't want to drink, you just don't drink one day at a time. And if you don't have alcoholism, it'll be no problem. But if you have the disease of alcoholism, it doesn't matter how long you don't drink. If you don't do this program, you're going to be miserable, like I was for years in the program, until I started doing something besides just going to meetings and reading and even working steps. I have to admit complete defeat right now in this moment and start sharing my life to a higher power right now. And today I have the life I've always wanted. I'm the man I've always wanted to be. I love my life today because of Alcoholics Anonymous. And thank you for letting me share.